Okay, we are recording this. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to discuss in this daily wrap-up session is, first of all, to wish everybody a happy Monday. I hope you guys all had a great weekend, and I hope you're ready for some good setups. We're starting the week off with some really good setups. We had our UK session last night or several hours ago, depending on what time zone you're in there. So we're looking at that, and we've got a couple of other things to update from that UK session. But a lot of the levels and a lot of the details that I spoke about in the UK session are definitely playing out nicely still. Let's just take a quick look at the notes on this euro dollar, and give me just one moment. Okay, so with that quick little look at the notes here, I talked a little bit about euro dollar. So this was all posted at 2:30 a.m. chat time. Short-term resistance being at 131.25. A move above this level should move us nicely into 131.80. Now, we're still kind of getting there, but we're above 131.25. We haven't gone back below it since we, by much anyways, by a couple of pips since we got above it, and we're still looking for that move to play out into 131.80, and I think we're going to get there. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Euro yen did break 127.80, made a nice little run down. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. And the Aussie dollar 91.50 was holding pretty well for support, and a move above 92.55 should move us into 93.15, which is all underway as well. So let's just kind of reiterate some of that. I'll basically be kind of updating some of these levels that we've talked about. So first of all, euro dollar in this rundown right here, we have a couple of things. The euro dollar has a missed daily pivot right here, and this is all the way up at 133.20, and that's going to be a nice little target. We have a missed weekly pivot that's not so high. It's only at that 131.80, which is what I talked about on the break of 93.25, or excuse me, good grief, 131.25. And again, we've broken that, and kind of bounced around a little bit, but we're up above that. And then just something to note real quick here is the high, our little double top here from pre-Fed stuff to the low here. We're just kind of testing and bumping against that 23% fib level. So one reason that I'm anxious to get long before the break of this 23% fib is because of some of the bigger setups that we have on larger time frames here. For example, the daily chart is giving us a fantastic little pin bar right at the 200 daily moving average. So that's super excellent. We've already reached the monthly pivot, everything's good there. And now we've had this big run down, big reversal candle right on the 200 moving average. So I think that's going to hold fairly well. We've got some, nice little movements there. We're going to have a little bit of trouble probably at that 23% fib. You can see the 200 moving average crosses that on the 4-hour chart, but I think we should have enough to trade against this low and at least reach the weekly pivot. The daily pivot could be, from Thursday, could be a week out. That might be more into next week, or it could be, sooner than later. But that's currently almost 200 pips away from current market price. I think we have a very easy run into this weekly pivot, but that missed daily pivot of last week might just be a little ways out there. So basically what I'm wanting to do on this euro dollar here is set a pending order. So if anybody's not already in this, set a pending order just right around 13100. So looking for a little bit of pullback here, about 13100. We'll have our stops down here, so we'll have about 40 pip stops. And we're going to be targeting this weekly pivot of about 80 pips. So we're looking for a nice little 2-to-1 on this. We may go a little bit below 13100, but basically that's what we're looking for to just get picked up on that dip and then get long into that weekly pivot against this daily reversal candle at the moving average and all of that. Now to top it all off, we know that we have a missed pivot down there a little ways as well, about 131.06. So that's going to put us, basically down into that entry area. So we're basically going to be getting long just probably a couple of pips below, excuse me, the daily pivot on the euro dollar. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. That's kind of my short-term plan on the euro dollar right now, and it plays out pretty nicely with what we're looking at in the notes, which were, if you remember, getting long above 131.25. So if you did get long above 131.25, you can see that it ran up almost 20 pips, down a couple of pips, up and down. It's just really bouncing around. So it's given us some movement, but I think that's our short-term play for right now. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions, comments on the euro dollar at all? Questions, comments, don't hesitate to let me know. But pending order will be coming at 131.00 on the euro dollar. Because of kind of the lack of crazy bullish drive that this euro dollar is showing, I think there could be a good opportunity as well to probably trade the break and grab a quick 20 pips. If this would be a good time to go to some shorter term time frames, 5-minute chart even, and just kind of trade. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, what is going on with my mouse here? Trade a break of maybe like you can see some really common levels here around 131.15. So if we break that, a quick 15 pips maybe down into that 131.100 area will be a good little run. I don't think I'll be going for that one myself. I'm more interested in just buying on that dip and trading up to that weekly pivot. But any questions or comments, please let me know. I'm happy to discuss, answer, cover anything whatsoever. But if that's clear, that's pretty much what I'm looking for in this euro dollar so far. If you do have your questions, type them over, and I'll get back and cover them. Pound dollar. Oh yeah, good point. So 129.22, we have a missed pivot, huh? Okay, so that one's even off the radar just a little bit. Where does that one? Where was that missed pivot? Just a couple of weeks ago. Hold on, am I not 129? 22. I'm not seeing it just yet. Oh, May 30th. Okay, let's have a look. I'm going back here. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I got you. Yep, very good. Yep, very nice little missed pivot down there as well. So absolutely, very good to keep in mind. Good. Yeah, good eye, very good eye on that one. No, we have not covered the euro yen yet, Zara. So buy on the dip. Euro dollar, that's what we're going for. Pound dollar, we have taken out. I mean, again, I think this is probably close enough on the pound dollar. We came right to the bottom of that pivot, so I think that probably counts. But we still have not made the run all the way into the weekly pivot. We had a nice little shooting star right here going into that weekly pivot. We missed it by just about 10 pips or so. So the pound dollar, I'm for some reason I'm just not as bullish on the pound dollar as maybe I should be. I don't know. I think that we're going to start getting a little bit of retracement, a little bit of bouncing. It's still holding in this channel pretty well, but I really don't see anything too exciting to trade on the pound dollar just yet, unless we get some sort of maybe like double top that we can trade off of that weekly pivot, something in there, but yeah, so the pound dollar's moving around a little bit, but I'm not really looking to do anything on this pair just yet, but I will keep my eye on any setups. But so far as of the week starting, I haven't really, nothing has really stood out. So nothing on the pound dollar. If anyone has any questions on the pound dollar, I'm happy to cover them, discuss them. But if there's nothing, then we'll move on to the Aussie dollar, which I think we have another good setup in. We talked about the Aussie dollar. Again, in the notes, you can see Aussie dollar 91.50 was a good support, and 92.50 was a good point to get above. So here's our 91.50 right basically this low right here was about 91.46. So just kind of averaging it out, 91.50.60 was a good little place for a double bottom here. We've broken above this high, which also in this recent run right here happens to be the 23% fib, which was around 92.55, which was in the notes. We got above that, and it's just kind of stalling out a little bit. I still think we're going to make that run into the 38% fib. So keep that in mind. Look for an opportunity to get long. I talked about this, I tweeted it and so on today. It made a little bit of a run, scooted up there about 30 pips or so. 30-40 pips, and it's come back down, and I think it's going to make a move back up into that 38 and ultimately reach that weekly pivot. We have a missed daily pivot from Thursday as well, which is all the way at 93.65-ish area. That's a little ways. I don't know if I see us reaching that one sooner than later, but I do think we're going to get this weekly pivot taken out sooner than later. So I'm looking for opportunities to get long against this low right here. This low is definitely a little ways away from current market price, about 100 plus pips. So we'll see how the entries go, and we'll see how things kind of play out here. But so far, it's kind of playing around with this 23% fib, and seems like it's holding in there pretty well. So we'll just kind of be watching that, but again, as long as this gets back up above and stays above that 23% fib, then there should be a pretty good little 50 pip run into that 38. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be buying on the dip too much unless we can get within about 30 pips of that low. Then I may think about buying that dip. But for the most part, we just want to kind of get in this and stay in this as long as it stays above the 23% fib. Excuse me, the 92 kind of 50 area, and if it does, then I think we've got a nice little run into that 50% fib and into the weekly pivot. Now the Aussie dollar, one thing that's important to note, we made a nice new low on this double bottom with a bullish candle, so that's a good little bottoming out pattern for at least the short term. And then likewise on the Aussie dollar, we have similar to the euro dollar, it's made this run down, so we had this nice little pin bar here, and it shot up a good little bit, a couple 250 pips, and then we made some new lows, and now we've continued. We have a couple of bullish candles here, and then we make this once again nice little pin bar right here, new low, positive candle. And so there's a good little at least retracement pattern in the works on this Aussie dollar as well. Now I'm looking once again on this, on kind of this recent move right here from the Fed news, but you can see on the daily chart that we could also be watching it from this area here, this kind of recent little rundown, and that would put us a little bit more at kind of the highs back here. And if that's the case, then we're just testing the 23% fib, and we could be making that run into that missed pivot. So it kind of depends on the time frame we're looking at. If we're looking for a little shorter term, I think that 1 hour setup that I mentioned is good. Longer term, if we can get above that 92.80, then potentially we've got a nice run into 93.50-ish area. So either way, I think getting long and staying long as the market is above 92.50 is probably a safe enough bet to at least target the weekly pivot. So basically, as you can tell on both of these time frames here, I'm looking at these daily reversal candles, and I'm looking at fib levels to hopefully get us up into the areas that we need. So again, if we're looking at fib levels on the Aussie dollar on the short-term time frame, we're just approaching the 23, and if we're looking at fib levels on that daily chart, a little short-term run here on the euro dollar, you can see that we're also just approaching that 23% fib there. So those are going to be good areas to watch for, but again, because of the reversal candle stick pattern, I'm going to look for a buy in the dip on the euro dollar, and so as to not, expose ourselves to too much risk, I probably won't put that same pending order on the Aussie dollar, although I think it's probably a good one to have. But I don't want to have two of kind of the same types of setups just in case things go crazy. So that's where you can just look for that short-term trade as long as it stays above 92.50. Any questions on euro dollar, Aussie dollar? Any questions on those? Don't hesitate to shoot them over. I will happily discuss anything. Okay, so going back to the notes for just a moment, the UK session talked about the break of 127.80 and a test of 126.90. Here is 127.80. This was our Friday low, and we got all the way down to 127 about 25. So we came just shy of that 126.90, which was weekly support, which was support from previous levels as well. And so it looks like, though, that the euro yen is holding fairly well, and this would play out nicely because if the euro dollar does rally, then the euro yen will probably actually make its way down just a little bit. The euro yen has broken the Friday low right there, pushed down below it, got back up above, but it just barely tested this trend line right here that it broke out of, tested that, and now it's heading back down. So that's kind of, that's not the worst little short-term area to trade against. It's about 45 pips away, but the fact that it is staying below that area and below that that little test of the trend line, which again is about 45 pips away, gives me pretty decent. I would feel semi-confident about the fact that the euro yen might make its way again, all the way this time into 126.90 area. So I think that's going to be a good little area to watch for. I'm not going to trade the euro yen or any of the yen pairs too much until we start to get some cleaner, better setups. Right now they're a little bit messy, although this is a pretty clean break. But it's still a bit of a, things are getting pretty choppy and pretty channeled. But we are starting to work on what looks like could be a pretty decent head and shoulders pattern on this daily chart on the euro yen. And as we start to break this trend line and ultimately, we get below this low right here, which is a perfect overlap of this low back here at about 12500, 124.90. I think that's going to be a great spot to finally get us through the 23% fib. On the euro yen. So we're looking at this larger time frame, and that 23% fibs around 124.45 area, and we have this low at around 124.90. So if we start to get below that 23% fib, it's probably going to pull back and chop around, but we should have a nice run into about 118 on the euro yen. I think that we have a good chance of getting there, all depending on breaking and getting below about 124.50-ish area, which seems like it's a long ways away right now, and it is a little ways away. But remember, 200 or 300 pips on the euro yen is a easy, slow, boring afternoon, kind of a thing. So it's really not that far away. But for the short term, trading against that area might be okay. Again, I'm not going to do it myself. I'll just be kind of watching that. We don't have any super obvious missed weekly or daily pivots on the euro yen within proximity, but the larger time frames, we have some big missed pivots that are still like at 110 and 115 and so on the euro yen. So we still have big lower targets that need to be reached. Pound yen, just kind of a choppy mess. Similar type setup with that reversal candle, potential head and shoulders pattern in the works here. I don't think there's anything to trade just yet. Besides possibly trading against that high that's 100 plus pips away, but it's kind of a mess. The pound yen's kind of a mess. Level to watch here, 149.50 with this trend line here and so on, but really it's kind of a mess. And the Aussie yen's the same thing. So I'm just kind of running through these to just remind why I'm not trading any of these right now, because they're kind of just choppy, all over the place messes. Aussie yen for the last 2 weeks has just been consolidating at this low. Now this low is actually fairly significant on the Aussie yen because you can see on the weekly chart it's consolidating against kind of this existing support here, which is around 89, basically around 8,900. It's also consolidating around the 50% fib, so we could see the Aussie yen start to run up, to retrace and start making her its move up here. The one thing that we have to keep an eye on, from this high to this low on the Aussie yen, this high to this low, the 23% fib is around 9,300. So that's right about where our 23% fib is. My mouse is just like going nuts. So that's 270 or so pips away. If we get above the 23% fib, then we could see a big retracement and a big move higher. But until we do, I'm just going to assume that this is staying on the bullish side or the bearish side. Excuse me. And if we get back below about 8,900, about 130 pips away, then we could be in for some big continuation to the downside. But that's about all I see that looks, worthwhile, interesting, worth mentioning. The rest of everything is just kind of chopping around. So I think we have great opportunities on the euro dollar and the Aussie dollar coming up here. So I'm gonna get a pending order on the euro dollar coming up right now, and then we'll be looking. I'll let you guys kind of trade the Aussie dollar at your leisure, as we say. As long as it stays above 92.50, then it should be able to make that run into around 9300 area. So that's what we'll be looking for. But questions, comments, let me know, and I will happily answer all of that. And then for the moment, I'm going to update the notes and get that pending order on the euro dollar going.